In this tutorial, I'm going to tell you how to change units using a process called conversions or dimensional analysis, and we're going to focus on single unit changes. So whenever you have, for instance, dollars and you want to change it into quarters, this process is what we're going to do. These will all be just one unit changing, and we're going to use things called conversion factors or fractions. When you want to convert from one unit to the other, there's a couple of rules to follow. The first rule is you're going to use fractions to change your units. So, for instance, we might have $1 on the top, and we will have 4 quarters on the bottom. And we would set up that fraction with the dollar on the top or on the bottom, depending on what unit we're changing from. The next rule would be we're going to cancel units. So if we have quarters on the fraction here in front, and we now have quarters on the second one, we have quarters on the top and quarters on the bottom, so we could cancel them. The third rule is when we're done setting these up, we're going to multiply by all the numbers on the top, and then we also then divide by any number on the bottom. And the last rule is if you have ones in your fractions, you can ignore them. You won't have to enter them into your calculator. So here's a sample problem. On your next birthday, if I gave you a penny for every second you've lived, how many dollars would I owe you? Okay, so there's some information in the problem, and then there's some other information that we would generally know or be able to find to solve this. The problem tells you that I'm going to give you 1 penny for every second that you've lived. Okay? So we know that, and then we also know that 1 day is 24 hours. We know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. We know that 1 minute is 60 seconds. We know that $1 is 100 pennies. And the first one that I probably missed was that we know that 1 year is 365 days. We're not going to worry about leap years this time. Okay, so we're going to use all that information when we set up the problem in a second. Alright, so we're going to start with a general 17 years. It could be 16 years, 18 years, whatever you started with, the process will be the same. And we're going to multiply it by a fraction. So the first fraction would have to be with years on the bottom, and then we know that for every 1 year we have 365 days. So that's the first one. Now, we have days on the top, so our next fraction, in order to cancel, we're going to put days on the bottom of this fraction so that our units cancel, and we know that every 1 day has 24 hours. And so we have hours on the top, so we're going to cancel our hours out. So hours would go on the bottom so that we can cancel, and we know that there is 1 hour is 60 minutes. Now you can see that I've kind of run out of room, so I'm going to go ahead and continue over on to the next line of my paper, so down below here. Now I have minutes on the top of this last fraction up here, so I'm going to put minutes on the bottom, and we know that there are 60 minutes, nope, sorry, there are, let's erase that, there are, every 1 minute has 60 seconds. Alright, so we now have seconds, and back in the problem I told you that you had 1 penny for every second that you've lived. So seconds is on the top of this fraction, so it has to go on the bottom of the next one, and then we'll put penny on the top because this was what they gave me in the problem, that every 1 second was 1 penny. Alright, we're still not done because remember we're looking for dollars. We're close, but we're looking for dollars. So we're going to do one last fraction, and in that fraction we're going to take pennies and put it on the bottom, and then we're going to put dollars on the top, and we know that there are 100 pennies for every dollar. Alright, now we need to do some thinking about units. Let's double check our units. We have years here and years there. They cancel. We have days there and days there. They cancel. Hours on the top, hours on the bottom. They cancel. Minutes on the top, minutes on the bottom. Seconds on the top, seconds on the bottom. pennies on the top, pennies on the bottom, and I'm left with dollars, which was my answer. Request was how many dollars. So if we were going to do this problem, we would take the 17 times 365 times 24 times 60 times 60, and then I just have ones, and then I have on the bottom I have a whole bunch of ones and 100. So whatever that math ends up working out to be is how many dollars I would have for my answer. Alright, so I did all of the calculations on my calculator, and I got an answer of $5,361,120.